What happens when one of the hip-hop's most laid-back legends gets pushed too far?
Last time you said something, I ain't had time. But today, I got time.
From mocking icons like Eazy-E to publicly condemning Kanye West.
And I hate the fact that he's being brainwashed and he's being used because he has so many people that love him.
These are the 6 artists Snoop Dogg hated the most, and the stories behind every name will change how you see him forever. We'll start off with number 6, Suge Knight. In the early 1990s, Snoop Dogg's rise to superstardom was inseparable from Death Row Records. At the time, the label was more than a powerhouse. It was a cultural juggernaut, reshaping the sound of West Coast hip-hop. With Dr. Dre at the production helm, Tupac electrifying the mic, and Snoop's laid-back but lethal flow, Death Row was a movement. And behind it all was Suge Knight, feared, revered, and eventually resented. Snoop's debut album Doggy Style smashed records in 1993, debuting at number 1 with over 800,000 copies sold in its first week. But while the music soared, the mood behind the scenes soured. Snoop was soon embroiled in a high-profile trial, and instead of support, what he felt was suffocation. Suge Knight, known for ruling Death Row with an iron fist, wasn't just steering the ship. According to Snoop, he was seizing the benefits, controlling the money, creative direction, even personal movement.
When I was on Death Row Records, we made a lot of money, but Suge Knight controlled it all. Everything was in his name. He distributed the money, he passed it out, he gave you what he felt you should have. We got a lot of money, but it may not have been what we supposed to have. On No Limit Records, Master P taught ownership. These cars are in your name. This house is in your name. This account is in your name. You're gonna go get you some business. You're gonna go open up something. You're gonna establish yourself as a businessman. Shit that I wasn't taught on Death Row Records. All my cars was in Suge Knight's name.
Wow.
And that was when he made his break. In 1997, Snoop left Death Row and signed with No Limit Records, triggering years of tension, threats, and diss tracks. By 2002, Snoop had gone from silence to savagery. On Pimp Slapped, a scathing diss from his Paid the Cost to Be the Boss album, he called Suge Knight out by name and torched his leadership. The feud had officially gone nuclear, and it didn't stop there. In 2022, the unthinkable happened. Snoop Dogg announced that he had acquired Death Row Records, the very label Suge once ruled. "It feels good to have ownership of the label I was part of at the beginning of my career," he said. But the move only reignited old tensions. From behind bars, Suge didn't stay quiet. In a 2025 Jailhouse interview with The Art of Dialogue, he fired back hard. "You trying to create something that Suge Knight created, but instead of making something big, you disappointed the world," he snapped. Suge went on to question whether Snoop had really bought Death Row at all. "Show me the paperwork. Show me what you own," he challenged. Their relationship, once defined by loyalty, music, and millions, had devolved into one of the most public and personal beefs in hip-hop history. What began as a brotherhood built on dreams turned into a cold war over legacy, control, and betrayal. And just when fans thought the past had been buried, the old wounds reopened, louder, sharper, and far more personal than ever before. But Suge wasn't the only one Snoop was having issues with. Which brings us to number 5, Eazy-E. Before Death Row, before Doggy Style, there was NWA, and at the heart of it was Dr. Dre and Eazy-E. Their fallout became one of the most public splits in music history. When Dre left Ruthless Records, taking issue with Eazy and Jerry Heller over financial disputes, he aligned himself with Suge Knight and set out to build something new. That something was Death Row, and Dre didn't come alone. He brought with him a young, hungry Long Beach rapper named Snoop Dogg. At the time, Snoop Dogg had nearly given up on music, but Dre believed in him. After a home-recorded freestyle made its way to Dre through Warren G, the producer invited Snoop to collaborate on the Deep Cover soundtrack. From that moment on, their chemistry was electric. So when Dre went to war with Eazy, Snoop didn't just follow. He rode into battle like family. In 1992, Dr. Dre released Dre Day, a diss track aimed squarely at Eazy-E. But it was Snoop Dogg's performance of the song, and especially the music video, that turned heads. In the visuals, Snoop parodied Eazy mercilessly, Jerry curl wig, oversized glasses, and slapstick antics. It wasn't just a jab. It was a public mockery that turned a former West Coast pioneer into a cartoon. The impact was immediate. Fans were shocked. The industry buzzed. How had it come to this? Eazy-E, never one to stay silent, responded with his own scorched earth diss, real f***ing G's. In the song, Eazy tore into Dre for being a studio gangster, claiming he faked the street image he now profited from. The video, equally savage, it featured lookalikes of Dre and Snoop, reduced to clowns and ridiculed in skits. The battle lines were drawn. On one side, Ruthless Records loyalists, who viewed Dre and Snoop as sellouts. On the other, Death Row's rising empire, ready to dominate. But for Snoop, this wasn't just rap beef, it was personal. Loyalty to Dre wasn't optional, it was sacred. Dre had saved his career, and in Snoop's eyes, going against Dre was like going against the man who gave him life. Though the beef would never be resolved, Eazy-E tragically passed away in 1995 from AIDS-related complications. The echoes of that battle still linger. The parody, the comebacks, the heartbreak. It wasn't just hip-hop history. It was a war that changed everything. But the war did not stop there. Number 4 is Iggy Azalea. In 2014, Snoop Dogg reignited the age-old debate about authenticity in hip-hop, but this time, it was through memes. It started with a single image. Snoop posted a photo of an albino black woman with cornrows and captioned it, "Iggy Azalea with no makeup." It was more than just an insult. It was an accusation. Iggy was playing black without living black. Iggy responded by posting a picture of Snoop with the caption, "When your addict aunt gets clean." But Snoop escalated the situation by comparing her to Marlon Wayans in White Chicks and releasing an aggressive video message. His tone, less playful, more threatening.
Say, you f***ing went the wrong, and your better check you for what I do. You funky, yeah, you cunt.
The internet exploded. Fans and critics alike weighed in. Some accused Snoop of misogyny and cyberbullying. Others praised him for calling out cultural appropriation. As one Forbes article put it, the feud exposed the fault lines of race and gender in modern hip-hop. Eventually, rapper T.I., who had mentored Iggy, stepped in to squash the feud. Snoop apologized, but the damage was already done, and the meme that started it all lives on. Then came the clash that shocked fans everywhere. Number 3, Eminem.
Eminem, the great white hope. White rappers had zero respect in rap. Let's keep that 1,000.
For years, Snoop Dogg and Eminem existed in the same orbit, two titans connected through a shared mentor, Dr. Dre. While they had collaborated in the early 2000s on tracks like Bitch Please 2 and often spoke of each other with respect, everything shifted in 2020 with a single interview. During a candid conversation in the interview, Snoop made headlines when he excluded Eminem from his list of top 10 rappers. It wasn't just the omission that shocked fans, it was how Snoop framed it.
The game feels like he's top 10 lyricists and all that comes with it, but that's just because he's with Dr. Dre, and Dr. Dre helped him find the best Eminem that he could find.
He continued saying, "There are some artists in the 80s that he couldn't with."
Like Rakim,
yes sir,
like Big Daddy Kane,
yes sir,
like KRS-One, like LL Cool J. Shall I go on?
I love this list. Yeah, again.
Like Ice Cube.
And then came the line that really stung.
When you talking about this hip-hop shit that I can't live without, I can live without that.
For fans who grew up revering both legends, it was like watching a family fallout. Absolutely. Eminem didn't respond right away, but a few weeks later, he released music to be by Side B in the song Zeus. He gave a quiet but powerful reply to Snoop's comments.
I'm afraid to unlock those monsters in the idiotic buttons. The down gauntlets under ruckus where I play.
It wasn't the barbs that cut the deepest, it was the sense of betrayal. Eminem later addressed the situation on his Shade 45 radio channel, opening up about why he was hurt.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like everything was good until like, you know, it was more like that caught me off guard because I'm like, yo, where is this coming from? You know what I'm saying? Like it threw me for a loop past the whole tone and everything, but it was the last statement when he said, I can live without that shit. Now you're being disrespectful. Like it just caught.
The hip-hop community split down the middle. Some argued Snoop was just keeping it real. Others felt he crossed the line, and all the while, Dre, the man who brought both rappers into the spotlight, remained silent. However, reports surfaced in early 2021 that the two had spoken and cleared the air. But fans never forgot the tension. Because in a genre built on bars, ego, and honor, even a small crack between legends can echo for years. What made it even more complicated was how personal it felt. Snoop wasn't just another critic. He was Dre's first protege. Eminem was Dre's crown jewel. Watching them clash felt like seeing two brothers battle for the attention of the same father figure. This wasn't a diss track war. It was quieter, sharper, more human. And sometimes, that kind of cut goes deeper than anything else. But Snoop's beef with Eminem wasn't the last. There's number 2, 6ix9ine. In hip-hop, loyalty isn't just a code, it's a legacy. And when Tekashi 6ix9ine chose to cooperate with federal prosecutors during a massive racketeering case against his own gang, it wasn't just the courts that judged him. The culture did too. And the Snoop Dogg? He made his stance very clear. In 2019, 6ix9ine testified in court against members of the 9 Trey Bloods in exchange for a reduced sentence. He avoided what could have been 47 years in prison, walking away with just 2. The headlines were explosive, but so was the backlash. Enter Snoop. In one of his most viral Instagram posts, Snoop shared an image of 6ix9ine with the caption, "Tekashi 6ix9ine is safe and secured in jail unit with other snitches." He didn't stop there. Rat emojis, judge memes, and mocking captions followed. The internet lit up with laughter and support for Snoop's old school stance. But 6ix9ine didn't just stay silent. In the comments section of a Shade Room post, he hit back at Snoop, hinting, without saying it outright, that the Dogg father might have once snitched on Suge Knight himself. Then he doubled down, posting a video of Suge Knight talking about Snoop. It wasn't just a reply, it was a calculated move to flip the narrative and put Snoop on the defensive.
You know, we beat a murder trial for him, but then he was on probation. Then he got caught with 2 ounces of marijuana. Then he got caught with guns. And each time it's nothing. They're not going to violate it because for the street guys know what I'm talking about. There's no puzzle. I mean, if you get a guy that constantly getting in trouble and never going to come to prison, that's because he's an informant. He's a rat, a snitch, you know.
Snoop didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His response was calm, but it carried the weight of a warning. The kind of message that doesn't shout, it echoes.
You better get to my line, nigga. Rat boy, you really better leave me alone. I ain't the one. No way. No way. Go on and do your and get out my way. You funky dog head, rainbow head, dog head bitch.
In many ways, the Snoop versus 6ix9ine clash became symbolic of a generational divide. For Snoop, who came up in an era where silence was sacred and street codes were survival, 6ix9ine's choices weren't just disrespectful, they were disgraceful. This feud never made it to wax or diss records. Instead, it played out in digital shade, emojis, and viral memes. But make no mistake, Snoop's disdain was loud and clear, because in his world, snitches didn't get second chances, they got shamed. Now, at the very top, Snoop's most unforgettable feud is number 1, Kanye West. Kanye West is no stranger to controversy, but in 2018, he pushed things too far for Snoop Dogg. It all started when Kanye went public with his support for then-President Donald Trump, sporting a red MAGA hat, posting erratically on Twitter, and declaring in an interview that slavery was a choice. Kanye sparked outrage across the music industry. For many, it was just another episode in his unpredictable public persona. But for Snoop, it was personal. In an interview with DJ Sus1 on SiriusXM, Snoop didn't mince words.
If you like that nigga, you in.
It was as one of the most direct and brutal takedowns Kanye had received from someone within hip-hop royalty. Snoop, who had long positioned himself as a voice for the culture and community, viewed Kanye's alignment with Trump not just as a political stance, but as a betrayal. Then came the pettier, more personal jabs. In an Instagram clip that went viral at the time, Snoop danced and sang along to Drake's "In My Feelings," laughing as he taunted.
I may be on a late freight, but I just found out who Kiki was. Kiki is your, that's why you're so mad. Cause Drake put dick in your bitch. He did, huh? Drake, you a cold nigga, cuz. I like that song, but I ain't know why I liked it. I really like it now. Kiki, do you love me? And everything you.
The message was unmistakable. Fans interpreted it as a direct shot at Kanye's wife, Kim Kardashian, whom many believed to be the Kiki in Drake's lyrics. This wasn't just political anymore. Snoop had hit Kanye at home. It got messier. Snoop's cousin, rapper Daz Dillinger, also joined the fray, calling out Kanye and the Kardashians with his own set of rants and threats. At this point, it wasn't just a feud, it was a family affair. Kanye, never one to back down from scrutiny, suggested in interviews and tweets that Snoop was reacting out of misplaced anger.
But you want to talk shit, Snoop, because Trump is my friend, and he got that dragon fire, and Obama did not.
But while others in the industry, like Chance the Rapper, Pusha T, and Kid Cudi, either supported Kanye or offered gentle critique, Snoop went all in. What made this feud particularly explosive wasn't just the insults. It was the context. Snoop and Kanye represented two very different eras, values, and visions for hip-hop. Snoop stood for the old-school code, where loyalty, black pride, and community came before politics. Kanye, by contrast, seemed to be chasing disruption at any cost. And unlike previous feuds in Snoop's long career, this one never resolved. There was no sit-down, no tweet of reconciliation, just cold silence, and an industry watching, waiting, and picking sides. This wasn't just about politics. It was about identity, legacy, and what hip-hop is supposed to stand for. And for Snoop, Kanye had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. From Suge Knight to Kanye West, Snoop Dogg's feuds tell a story bigger than just disses and drama. They're about loyalty, power, principles, and pain. No battle ended in blood. Some ended with memes, some with silence, and a few with reconciliation. But if there's one thing these stories prove, it's that when the dogfather barks, the whole industry listens. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.